Hi, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Finding Data Friends. We are lucky enough to found a new friend that none of us have definitely met before. So we'll get to know each other on this podcast.
About
Alan,
time.
thank you so much for thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Let's see. I live in Cleveland, Ohio area. And Jess, we miss you from our user group meetings here,
Oh, I
here
miss it too.
in Cleveland. I actually started working in IT, which back then we called it data processing, in August of 1974. So I'm 2 months away from 50 years in IT.
That's awesome.
So
you were supposed to be retired, though.
I keep trying. My clients won't let me. So
hopefully just fun things now, though, right?
Pretty much. Query tuning, just general.
Isn't data stuff always just the fun things?
I think so.
Except, of course, when the world is on fire. But when did that ever happen?
There's that.
True.
Yeah, hopefully I don't have those things again. But, I spent the day yesterday down at the Memorial Golf Tournament with my son-in-law and my grandson, his first time to a golf tournament, and that was exciting. He got Will Zalatoris' autograph. That was his first autograph ever.
Cool. Very nice. Awesome. Well, as you said, you've been in data a long time, so hopefully there's not too many things to choose from for this next question. But what is your favorite data thing, and do you want to tell us about it?
Going back to even before I started working with SQL Server.
Don't say punch cards. Don't say punch cards.
Oh God, no.
That will be unique, though. We haven't had that yet on the
podcast.
True.
I always found it fascinating to be able to do things with data that other people couldn't. Right? And that took me into a situation where back in the early 80s, I started communicating with cash register systems. And every different cash register system at the day in those days had its own unique way of encoding the transaction data to minimize the size, the volume of data from a day's transactions, so that you could transmit it cheaply. And the primary language we used back then was COBOL, right? And COBOL doesn't lend itself to bit manipulation, if you will. And I had to do a lot of that, and I figured out ways to do that. Things that people said you couldn't do in COBOL, I said, yeah, watch me, right? And I did. So I got really proficient at that kind of thing. As I moved into relational databases, which I just fell in love with. I mean, I was doing something different every few years. And then I got into relational databases. I started working with SQL Server back in 1992. So what's that, 32 years? And I fell in love with the relational data because it's like, oh, cool, all this cool data stuff, right? So today mostly it's automation and query tuning, taking that query that they said, oh my God, this takes an hour to run. And I say, yeah, watch this. And
it takes two.
And it's done in,
that's how I do
seconds.
Query tuning.
So, yeah. So, in my semi-retirement, I spend most of my time query tuning. So it's fun.
Awesome. I like that your two favorite things are automation and query tuning, because I am all about automation and I am terrible at query tuning. And those feel like so far away from each other to me. But for you,
they are technically, and it was the automation that got me into the PowerShell, which is where we connected so well, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to find ways that I could take those tedious tasks and make them not so tedious, because I just run a script and it's done, right? Because I'm lazy. And then
I'm with you.
Efficient is the word you mean. Efficient.
Yeah. We're using efficient now.
But yeah, the query tuning just gives me such a sense of accomplishment where, somebody says, oh, I can't do this. And it's like, yeah, watch this. Right. So it's both. It really is a blend of both for me.
See, my problem with query tuning is it seems to be like black magic, because I'll do like a specific thing and someone will show me or someone will teach me and be like, oh, this is the problem, you do this. And then the next time I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. And it's worse. Like I think Erin was on the podcast. I was telling her I had this query plan that was super complex. And so I rewrote the query. So the query plan was nice and simple. And it ran in like twice the time. It was terrible.
Oh, no.
And I took it back to my friend Claudio and I was like, what happened? He's like, oh, you should do it this way. It's like a totally different scenario, right, of what you need. Yeah. You can't always try and make it simple. But
right.
I like nice rules to follow.
I tend to break things up, into smaller pieces. There are people that say never use temp tables, and I'm like, why would you even think that? That's what they're there for. Right. Break it into smaller chunks and, reduce the amount of data that a particular query has to go through.
Right.
And you're on your way. So, the thing I run into frequently are these massive queries that join 20 and 30 tables with outer applies and, subqueries and all that. And because the developer said, I got to do this in one query. And it's like, no, you don't. Let's break this up.
Where exists, and then the entire query again.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, those kinds of things I find taking out all of the subqueries and putting those into temp tables, doing my filtering up front so that I'm not trying to pass this massive subject table against all the other tables. I'm looking for a small subset, usually one subject, right? Give me all the relevant data to this one subject. So why would I not just filter that so that it's in its own small temp table, and that makes the join processes so much faster.
Agreed.
It's true.
That's my approach anyway.
Yeah, we like that.
And many times I will actually not use a temp table, but a proper table, which will use more storage. But since most of the stuff that I'm doing is in data warehousing and stuff, so all the stuff that goes wrong at night. If the stuff that goes wrong is already persisted in a table, I have a much better starting point, especially if it's a query that's still running for quite some time. But
you must be a professional at this, Ben.
Well, apparently we have not worked together.
We're nothing but professional here.
There's that. So, Alan, if you're not query tuning and are more moving towards the retirement phase, which we have learned you're not, because your clients don't let you. But let's just assume they give you a little time for your own. What is your favorite non-data thing to do in that non-data time?
Play golf. That's
again. I'm so surprised. I did not see this coming.
No.
I did.
And you know what's funny is I've even blended my golf and my data thing, because I run my golf league here the golf course is in Valley City, which is 5 miles from me, and I joined this league because I didn't have any buddies that played golf, so I figured, well, I'd join the golf league to meet people that play golf, and as I was approaching retirement, I told the guy, I said, I've got some time, I could help you manage this. Well, all of a sudden he took another job and it was my job now. And so I literally, the United States Golf Association has a program, has a membership program called GIN, which is Golf Handicap Information Network. And everybody, as they finish their rounds, they enter their scores into the GIN system. And then I run reports, scrape that data, and I plug it into SQL Server, and I run reports and send out spreadsheets with everybody's results. And they're like, wow. And it's like, it's a few queries, It's so, but yeah, I love playing golf. This week, yesterday, I spent the day at the Memorial Golf Tournament with my son-in-law and grandson. And tomorrow I drive back down to Columbus for the rest of the tournament, where a buddy of mine and I will hang together and watch the pros through the course of the tournament. So I love watching the professionals play, mostly because I like to see what they do to get out of trouble. Because if you play golf, you get yourself in trouble. It's just the nature of the game. Nobody can consistently hit the fairway on every shot, right? So what do they do when they don't hit the fairway? How do they deal with that? I've learned so much watching the pros. So I watch the pros, and then I go out, and then last few years I've been playing golf on Wednesdays and Fridays, and this year I backed out of working on Mondays, so starting very soon I'll be playing golf on Mondays as well.
Perfect.
I mean, not to brag, but I can get myself into trouble easily without even playing golf. Just saying.
I'm talking about on the golf course, and I'm talking about where your ball lands, okay? Just to clarify.
Thank you. That changes my answer slightly. So I have one quick follow-up because I'm not super familiar with the rules of golf, but I think it's like 18 holes, but I keep hearing about that 19th hole. What would that usually be?
Yeah, that's the one you have to really be careful. There are two golf outings that I put together multiple groups to enter. One is put on by the Great Lakes Brewing Company here in Cleveland, and then another one is put together by another company called the Brew Kettle. And at both of these outings, they supply unlimited beer during the course of the round. And yes, I usually have to.
This might be how you get into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, those are fun outings. At the Great Lakes outing, they traditionally have a couple of kegs at every other hole, so you can refill your tall mug. You know those SQL Skills 32-ounce cups, plastic cups? I've got like 4 of them, so my buddies are always like, "You bring in the cups, right?" So
gotta make the most of it.
Absolutely. The Brew Kettle just has their big truck where they have like 6 or 8 kegs with taps on the sides. Wow. So you fill up your growler before you head out, and then when you make the turn, you fill up your growler again. And
amazing. Well, the good news is all that golfing and all that beer is probably going to make you hungry, which leads us into the next question of what your favorite food is.
Well, my favorite food is something I'm really not supposed to eat anymore. Because I'm not a foodie, but I love smoked sausage, kielbasa, hot dogs. Those things that you shouldn't eat when you're at my age, because they're not great for you. But it's comfort food.
Moderation is fine, right? As long as you're not eating them for every meal.
And comfort food is key here. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
We totally allow it.
And Ben, you're in one of my favorite areas with the German food is just right up there for me.
It's kind of what we do.
Everywhere.
Pretty much. There's even this data-related event in the north of Germany that basically is all around sausages and beer and data. So there's that.
That's the one that you just had, that Data Grillin'?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we can have a reunion.
Exactly.
It would be fun. I'm not putting together presentations anymore though. So
Well, we also have
There's
attendees.
sausages. You don't
so-
have to present.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could volunteer for half an hour and then get in.
there you go.
Or you
The
can just
entry price
volunteer
is
to help
very
us with the
steep.
beer and the sausages. So
Oh,
There you
well,
go.
I'm all about that.
well,
Perfect.
That would be
since
fun.
I'll be in Alan's neck of the wood in 2 weeks,
2
I
months.
would just no 2 weeks, Alan.
You'll be here in
because
2
today-
weeks.
Well, today
Time
is
travel.
July 19th.
Time
Right.
travel.
Right.
Now people will know that this isn't live.
Oh,
Darn.
We've been
So
holding this up
close.
for 16 episodes, and now people are like, "Oh no, this isn't even a live stream." So in 2 weeks, when I'll see Alan, I will convince him. When I will finally meet Alan in person, because we've never met
Ah,
before,
yes.
as we've also
Yes, we
figured out.
have.
Alan, no, we have not. Cut. What is happening?
Ah,
There's
the
nobody.
podcast has gone off the rails.
It worked so well. Then we get Ellen on, who tells about getting in trouble on the golf course, who doesn't get. This is what happened. I will then convince him to come to the next Datacron. How about that?
Perfect.
Most excellent.
I like it.
Before we get ourselves into even more trouble, Alan, it was a pleasure finally meeting you, at least virtually, since we've never met in person today on July 19th. Whatever, I guess at this point. People won't believe me. This is why people have trust issues with me. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, Ben. This has been fun.
for
Jess,
watching.
like, it's great to see you. I enjoy all of your Facebook posts with your travels, and
Yeah, we'll be back in Cleveland soon, hopefully. So
I look forward to that.
So you also get to meet in person eventually. Nice.
Yes.
And with that,
And-
before we get
and
into more
then-
trouble,
I'll be not quite in your neck of the woods, but not too far away in December. My wife and I are taking a Viking River cruise
Mhm.
from Basel, Switzerland to Amsterdam the first couple weeks of December. So
we should talk about that because it's really not that far from me. And I actually have clients near Basel, so there might be
Ah.
magical ways of working
Yes,
out 2
I would-
reunions in a year.
I would love to see you there, and my wife would love to meet you.
Sounds like a plan.
We're looking for we're going to be visiting Christmas markets, 8 different Christmas
Oh,
markets
nice.
along the
That's
Rhine.
basically
That's
the only thing to do around that time of year here. So
Yeah,
sounds
sure.
legit. Thank you both. Thank you everyone for watching. We see you all next week with another friend. And for now, bye.
Bye,
Bye.
folks.